A new season has started in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, and today I'll be teaching you how you can create your own hero deck from scratch. So once you understand the logic behind it, once you understand the ratios and the fundamentals of the deck, you won't have any issues from now on building any hero deck with any variations. Okay, I'll try to make the deck list as simple and as short as possible for this video specifically because it's our first video, and I hope that it is going to help you a lot of beginners, but also some expert hero players can get benefit from it, because I know that some of you get confused with the ratios from time to time, or are not sure which cards you should include in your deck or which cards you shouldn't. So this deck is going to be a 60 card in total, because we want as much consistency as possible in this deck. From time to time this deck breaks, and that's why it's never becoming a meta deck. That's why it's always considered as a rogue deck, but it's always playable, always evolving from each season, and it can even beat meta decks. So that's why we're gonna run 60 cards, because there are a couple of cards that we want to search them, we don't want to draw them, and due to that, that's going to be a 60 card in total. Now I have tried 45 cards versions, 50 cards versions, but they break a lot, they are inconsistent. Okay, so one more thing, I'm not gonna include Evil Hero package for this deck building specifically. Again, as I said, it's going to be as simple as possible for the beginners, so just try to grasp what I'm gonna talk about, try to adapt this version, and then in the upcoming videos I have a lot of different versions of hero decks. We are gonna evolve together step by step. So Elemental Hero Stratos, it's going to be 3 copies, mandatory. This is one of our main searchers. It can search literally any hero card from our deck to our hand, and that's why it's going to be 3 copies. I checked some people are running 2 copies. I do not recommend that. It must be 3 copies. And again, this is a 60 card deck, main deck, so that's why it's going to be 3 copies. So thanks to the new edition, which is called Miracle Ejector, Stratos has become literally a 1-card combo. Okay, so Miracle Ejector is also a huge beneficial for our deck. That's why it's going to be 3 copies. It is our main starter in case you don't draw Stratos, so it doesn't matter whatever you draw from your deck, it's going to be a literally 1-card combo. Okay, there are other abilities, but again, I'm not gonna talk about every single tips and tricks, because I tried it and the video length passed more than an hour. So what I'm really trying to do is teach you how you can create your deck, give you tips and tricks about the ratios, and try to understand which cards you should include and which cards you shouldn't in the deck. Okay, in the upcoming videos I'll talk about in more detail. So 3 copies of Miracle Ejector, 3 copies of Elemental Hero Stratos. We are going to include 2 copies of Vision Hero Vyon. Vyon is still important even with the new edition of Miracle Ejector, because not only it can search a card from our deck to our hand once we dump Shadow Mist to the graveyard, but it can also add Polymerization from deck to our hand, which is a really crucial card for our extra deck monsters. Okay, I tried 3 cards. I think 3 cards is too much. Most of the time we wanna start our combos with either Stratos or Miracle Ejector, and 1 card wasn't enough, honestly. In my couple of deals I needed a 2nd copy, so 2 is the perfect ratio for our deck. Now, Visionary Faris. Normally I wasn't going to include Faris because I wanted to keep this deck as simple as possible. Unfortunately, because we run 60 cards in our main deck, we need more combo starters, and that's why I'm going to include Faris. I didn't want to have 3 copies of Faris because first we have Miracle Ejector, which is a 1-card combo. This is 1.5 combo, so the priority is this card, okay, not Faris. The second reason is Faris locks us to the Xtra deck for the hero card specifically, and due to that I don't want to have too much copies of these. In most of my combos I use this package, not Faris too much, but it's still nice to have, because at sometimes you need an alternative path against those hand traps, those interruptions. Okay, You can try one copy also. One copy is fine, but again, for the consistency of the deck, and since we need more starters, I think 2 copy is the perfect ratio for the time being. Foolish Burial is literally a one card combo once you dump Shadow Mist to the graveyard in case you cannot draw any one of these starters. Reinforcement of the army is helping us to get reaching either Stratos or Vyon. You cannot search Miracle Ejector because it's a spellcaster, keep that in your mind. So this literally becomes a one card combo as well. Emergency Call has more plays now, okay? Since Miracle Ejector is considered as an elemental hero card, not only we can search Stratos from now on, but we can also search Miracle Ejector and we can do one card combos. This is not hard once per turn, so if you have multiple copies, you can play multiple copies, so that's why we're gonna run 3 copies. A Hero Lives is one of the best cards. It's a high risk, high reward card. It has always been, always will be. Most of the time you bring Stratos and doing your combos. This card is literally one card combo. It's also not hard once per turn, so if it gets negated and if you have a second copy, you can play it. So that's why we're gonna have 3 copies. Another benefit that this card gives is this card special summons the monster and we still do one card combo. So we didn't even use our normal summon. So that's why it's a huge important card for the deck. Fusion Destiny has also become a war card combo after the release of Masked Hero Package and Miracle Ejector. It's always been important. You can try 2 copies, but I highly recommend 3 copies. I think it still has its benefits. And you can do some other plays with Verte Anaconda, which I'm gonna talk about in a minute. So that's why 3 copies. So in total we have 21 combo starters. I think it's more than enough for a 60 card hero deck. Now I want to talk about other engine cards that we haven't discussed. So basically what we need is at least 1 copy of Elemental Hero Neos. Unfortunately we have to add this card because a couple of our extra deck monsters function with this card. Like if we want to resolve those effects, we have to have at least 1 copy of Neos. Most of the time we don't want to draw this card, we want to search this card, but if your hand is good, if you have enough starters, then drawing this card doesn't kill you. The cards that we don't want to draw is Neo-Spacian Aqua Dolphin and Vision Hero Increase. We need Neo-Spacian Aqua Dolphin for special summoning Miracle Ejector from our hand, so we need to dump this card from our deck to the graveyard. Why we choose Aqua Dolphin? Because other Neo-Spacians doesn't benefit anything, literally their effects are so bad for the current meta, current format, and if you need to summon this card, let's say, it has some its benefits, okay? You can check your opponent's hand, which is a huge advantage. You can destroy a hand trap, or you can discard a card to, I don't know, such as a Shadow Mist or Melee to get some benefit, okay? So at least 1 copy. Vision Hero Increase, because we run Faris, we still need to include at least 1 copy. And let's talk about the Destiny Hero Package. We still run 1 copy of Denier, 3 copies of Malicious. You can try other Destiny Hero monsters, but since the release of Denier, I think this package is the perfect ratio and the perfect synergy, okay? So that's why I'm not gonna talk about too much about Destiny Hero Package. Now, we already talked about Shadow Mist. We need at least 1 copy. In the past, we used to run 2 copies, but 2 copies is not mandatory anymore. All we want is just dump this card to the graveyard and search something. Its effect, it's hard once per turn, and we don't even need the quick play spell change search because we already have new additions to our deck, which helps us to reach mask change. Like we can search it easily, so that's why 1 copy is more than enough. Do not run 3 copies, you will get brick. It won't have any benefit at all, okay? So that leaves us with new Masked Hero Package, 1 copy of each. Why? Because first we can search them easily, second they are not actually combo starters. Like you can still do some cool stuff like search, for example, Masked Hero Duskgrove, or let's say you draw this in your starting hand, you play it, you search Furnace, you search Polymerization, you can summon a couple of extra deck monsters, but that's it. That's why we only need 1 copy. Like you can include at least 2 copies, but it's not gonna benefit that much compared to our combo starters, okay? One funny tip though, Masked Hero Furnace, you can actually include 3 copies if you don't want to run something like Vision Hero Faris, for example. Okay, this is going to really help you to reach Polymerization easily if Vyon is not enough, or if you don't want to include Vyon. But for this deck list specifically, 1 copy is more than enough. Polymerization. So we were running 1 copy in the past, now we are running 2 copies because we have Vyon and we have Faris. So that's why 2 copies is the ideal ratio. 3 is too much honestly and it can get brick. 1 is not enough because sometimes you have both of those cards but you only search 1 Polymerization, which is not that enough. Miracle Ejector, the ratio is still 1, it is searchable with Sunrise and you don't need more than once because otherwise it can get brick. If you need a second copy, you can just recycle it with your Link Monster, which I'm gonna talk about. EN Shuffle is the card that we get with the search of Miracle Ejector's effect once we summon her to the field. You can search other types of cards, but EN Shuffle is the only card that you need. And with the help of this card, you can summon a second Stratos to your field, or you can summon cards like either Blazeman, or you can summon Spirit of Neos. For this deck list specifically, I'm not gonna include any one of these cards. Not that because they are bad, but I don't need for my main combos. That's the reason why. If you want to include one of them, you can include one of them. I do not recommend including both of them. Okay. They are quite helpful because they can also search Polymerization. Okay, but for this deck list specifically, and since I want to keep it as simple as possible for the beginners, I won't include it. Okay. In the future, I have different deck lists that use these cards. So Maxx Change, we don't run 3 copies of or 2 copies of Maxx Change. Now it's super easily searchable thanks to the help of new Mask Hero package. You can still run 3 copies if you wanna dodge a couple of hand traps or interruptions like Imperm or I don't know, something like that. But we only run the Mask Hero Dark Love in our Xtra deck as a Mask Hero fusion card. And the other combo starters like Stratos and Miracle Ejector, they have different attributes. They are not dark, so that's why we don't get benefit that much anymore. And we also don't run those extra deck monsters as well because it's really tight. That's why I'm gonna run only 1 copies. But if you run 2 copies or 3 copies, depending on your playstyle, that's totally fine. Okay, that's not a wrong ratio. You just need to adapt your deck depending on that. So 1 copy of Favorite Contact, this is a mandatory card. This helps us to summon one of our big boss monsters. You only need 1 copy. If you run more than 1 copy, you're just gonna break really hard. Sometimes you still break. You see this in your opening hand. So yeah, 1 copy is more than enough. So that leaves us with what? Hand traps and board breakers. Now, the deck that we are building is going first deck, okay? It's not going second deck. And due to that sole reason, I'm not going to include board breakers. Now, let's start with Droll Lockbird. Droll Lockbird is still a useful hand trap. Some people cut this card from their deck entirely after the release of new branded support because it doesn't work against branded support. But this card literally works against everything other than branded. Like, for example, Cable Tune, for example, Iniacraft, like Radiant Typhoon. So that's why I still think that it's necessary to include at least 2 copies. And since we are running 60 card deck, we have a lot of spaces to include hand traps. Okay, if you want to cut these cards, not entirely but maybe 1 copy, that's also totally fine because we are running Crossout Designator and Droll Lockbird is really hurting our deck a lot once the opponent plays. So we want to stop this card, so that's why you can run 1 copies and combine with Crossout Designator. But for my deck lists, we're gonna include 2 copies. So Maxi, there's nothing much to talk about it. It's limited 1. You have to include this card. This literally shuts down your enemy, or if they don't stop, then you will draw lots of cards. Ash Blossom, you have to run 3 copies, guys. Like, you cannot even consider running 2 copies. Ash Blossom has so many advantages. Not only this card stops cards like Maxi or Mulcharmy Package, but this also stops enemy starter combos. Okay, so you can shut down those cards as well. So that's why 3 is mandatory. Now, Fuwalos, I'm gonna run 3 copies of Fuwalos. The only deck that this card doesn't work against is new deck, which is called Iniacraft. Other than that, it works against any other deck. That's why we're gonna run 3 copies. Even if this deck is focused on going first, we still need some cards like Fuwalos in case we go second, and most of the time, believe me, you're gonna lose the coin flips. This card also is not that bad when you go first because some new meta decks play during your turn But that's why during the draw phase you can drop this card, try to do your combos, and if they try to summon something, you can still draw cards and get benefit, okay? So it's not the end of the road if you draw this. Now Purulia, honestly, since the release of new meta decks, this is as good as Fuwalos. So I'm gonna include both of them. If you like, you can only include Fuwalos or only Purulia, or maybe 2 copies of each, okay? I'll totally leave that ratio to you. For this deck list specifically, I'm gonna run 6 copies. Yeah, call me crazy, but I'm gonna do that. So, what else? Triple Tactics Talent and Triple Tactics Trust. These cards really helpful and really good in the current meta since your opponent is trying to play during your turn. I'm gonna drop 1 copy of each. I think that's the perfect ratio. If you don't have Trust, or if you don't like Trust, you can run more than 1 Tactics Talent. But if you think that you have so many cards like these and you need more hand traps, then don't include this card. Instead, include other hand traps like Ghost Belle or Ghost Ogre that I'm going to talk about in a minute. So we need to run Cold by the Grave, we need to run Crossout Designator, because we need to stop cards like Droll Lockbird, Maxx, and Fuwalos, okay? That's why these 2 are mandatory. I know that we have a lot of starters, combo starters, that we can, you know, dodge a couple of cards like Ash Blossom, etc. But trust me, when you have these cards, your endport will be stronger. Forbidden Droplet. This card literally feels like it is made for the hero deck. Like, hero cards can get a lot of advantage from this card by discarding cards like Shadow Mist or Malicious to the graveyard. Or let's say you activated something like Hero Lives, then you play this card. Like, you can use this card quite perfectly. Either you go first or go second. Most of the time this card is useful for going second, but even if you go first and draw this card, it's not that bad, trust me. So that leaves with Infinite Impermanence. I do not recommend Effect Veiler. I think this card is better than Effect Veiler for this deck. Imperm is not that great compared to these cards in the current meta, because the decks can actually dodge this card, okay? But you still need to include a hand trap. So that's why, if you also believe like I do, like it's not that efficient and useful anymore, you can add cards like Ghost Ogre and Ghost Belle. These cards have more place in the current meta, and again, you can, for example, drop these cards, add cards like these more. So I'll totally leave that to you, okay? The mandatory ones that we already talked about, the mandatory cards are these. Like the rest, I'll leave that to you. There are 2 cards that I would like to talk about. This card normally kills many meta decks, but unfortunately it also kills our deck as well, so that's why I didn't include it. And Nibiru is not that great anymore. Most of the meta decks can survive from Nibiru summon, or they can even stop at the 4th summon and they can still do a lot of things, okay? And decks like Eniacraft, this card doesn't work because those monsters are set and monsters has to be face up, as far as I know. So that's why Nibiru is not that great anymore. That's why we are not gonna use Nibiru. And obviously we are not gonna use Dominus Package, because we have so many different attribute monsters that we like to use their effects. And due to that, this is the final hand trap set that I'm suggesting. So that leaves us with what? Xtra deck monsters. So Dark Glove is mandatory. This is our floodgates, and this really kills a lot of meta decks today. That's why you need to protect this card at all costs, and you need to have at least 1 copy. If you have more space, you can run more than 1 copy. Elemental Hero Thunder Giant is a new addition to our deck. It's a board wiper, it's a searcher, it's the perfect card and perfect addition that we need. Also, since the release of this card, we don't need Elemental Hero Absolute Zero, but in the future hero deck variations that I'm going to show it to you, I'm going to include that card again. But for this deck list, Thunder Giant is more than enough. Sunrise, there's nothing much to talk about it. This card literally searches Miracle Fusion from our deck to our hand. So due to that reason, we need at least 1 copy. Trinity is our finisher. We really need that card. It's more important than before, because the opponent monsters now become more than 3k attack points in the current meta, okay? So you need to bring those monsters down. How? With this card. When you summon this card, the attack is doubled. It becomes 5k and it can attack 3 times. If you combine this with DPE, this literally becomes your win condition. So that's why you need at least 1 copy. There's one thing that I would like to mention. You cannot summon this card with Miracle Fusion, okay? Because Miracle Fusion specifies that you can fusion summon an elemental hero monster, and this is a vision hero monster, okay? It's just a small tip that you should keep that in your mind. DPE has become the most important Destiny Hero Fusion monster after its release. We were using other Destiny Hero Fusion monsters, but since the release of this, those cards are not that important. There's nothing much to talk about this card. It can pop a card, it can recycle itself. That's why we need at least 1 copy. Shining Neos Wingman is another beater. It's the perfect card that the deck needs. It has some protection from the destruction and it cannot be returned if you use your trap card with the help of Neos. Other than that, this card is also hard to destroy in battle because the attack point is gonna rise up depending on the monsters that in your graveyard. Like it can go up to 4k, 5k. So it's the perfect card that you need in your deck. Run at least 1 copy. If you want to summon this card, you always need Flame Wingman. Flame Wingman is going to search your trap card, and after that you can sacrifice this card if you use Neos in your fusion as material, and it helps you to summon Sunrise. So that's why 1 copy at least. Contrast Hero Chaos. Now this card has been released like really long time ago, but we couldn't be able to summon this card because we were lack of Mask Hero cards, but now we don't. We have a lot of Mask Hero cards in our deck, so that's why this is super easy to summon. It is an Omni Negate. It is a 3k attack points. It's the perfect card that the deck needed, okay? So that's why we would like to see this card in our endgame board. I'm gonna run 2 copies because thanks to the help of Cross Sheep, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, we can actually summon more than 1 copy of Contrast Hero Chaos in our end field, and we can even negate 2 times because it doesn't say any restriction like Heart once per turn, like you can only summon this only once per turn, something like that. So no restriction, we can use multiple times, that's why. So extra heroes, we have 3 copies in total, 1 copy of each. We still need these cards. This is for searching Neos from your deck. This is for searching any card from your deck to your hand. Also, you can revive DPE from your graveyard if it is in your graveyard. And this is for recycling cards like Change Quick Spell, Fusion cards, Polymerization. So we need 1 copy at least. Now for the non-engine hero cards, what we are going to do is we are going to run this card. This is a new addition to our deck, number 60 Dugares, okay? And with the help of this card, for example, when we dump Stratos to the graveyard, we can summon Stratos back and we can make another search. This is the perfect card, a new addition, a new power building, so that's why at least 1 copy. Cross Sheep has a similar effect. We are gonna bring Stratos from our graveyard and we are gonna search another hero card from deck. That's why this card is also gonna help us to build a 2nd copy of Contrast Hero Chaos, which I'm gonna show you in the combo video. And the final card is Verte Anaconda. We need at least 1 copy because sometimes when your opponent locks you with Droll Lockbird or something like that, what we want is we just want to summon this card and we want to dump Fusion Destiny to the graveyard in order to summon DPE so that we can have an alternative play. Like instead of having nothing, we will have something. Okay, so that's pretty much the deck list is going to look like this. I hope that I didn't miss anything. Again, about the hand traps, you can be flexible. You can remove some of them, include some of them. This version doesn't have Evil Hero Package, like I said, which we are going to include in the future variations. I think this deck is perfectly enough for you to, play a consistent endgame board, and also it's not that difficult to understand the fundamentals of the deck. You will see once you understand the logic of the combos, you will understand like when you should summon, for example, Shining Neos or DPE or Contrast Hero, etc. And once you understand the basics, this deck is quite fun to play, honestly. Whether it's meta or not, Hero is always fun to play. Also the artwork, I'm in love with the artwork. Like, you really wanna summon these monsters. Like, look at these artworks. And I really happy that this deck is evolving each and each season, so that's another benefit. So thank you guys for watching. I'll be showing you the combos next, and try to take baby steps. We're gonna evolve this deck. This is not the final version, okay? I have literally stronger versions of this deck. So for the time being, I hope it helps for the both beginners and experts. Now you have more idea how you can build your decks. Now you have more idea with the ratios, etc. So I'll see you next time.